All right, all right, all right. The question becomes, how do I look? How do I sound? How do I look? How do I sound? I am bald as the day is young. All right, looking and sounding okay. One thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to take this down just a pinch. Also, man, oh man, that comes across as, nope. I feel like we're barely making a difference now. Oh, that is what we're doing. Oh, I wanted it like, it's pretty bright. Now I'm just like fucking with this lighting. Okay. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. Quit fucking around with this. And now I'm going to move my coffee over here so we can get ready to do the show. All right, all right, all right. Let's do this. Let's do this. Just got to confirm one thing here. And that's what episode this is supposed to be. All right. Hello, hello, hello. How do I look? How do I sound? All right, here we go. Hello and blah, blah, blah. It is time to talk about video games right here on the Glitch Report podcast, episode 141. My name's GnittWitt. I am the former host of the GnittWitt show, the current host of the Glitch Report podcast, and any day now, I'm going to get replaced by Jay Leno, and it'll be the one thing that Conan O'Brien and I have in common. Welcome to the podcast, the show of shows. We talk about video games on this podcast. I'm excited to be with you today. We have a lot of games to talk about. We got a review roundup to do of some games. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 out tomorrow, Thursday, I believe. If I am correct, it is out Thursday. We got reviews to round them up. We're going to talk about that. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that is out. The remaster of that is out now. We're going to talk about that on the podcast as well. Indiana Jones news. We got some news, some confirmations around Star Wars Zero Company. Michael Bay might be making a video game movie of all things, Ghosts of Yote, and so much more. So thank you for joining me on the show today. Everyone here at Glitch Report Incorporated is lucky to have you. So thanks for hanging out. We're gonna talk Clair Obscur Expedition 33 reviews to kick things off. I have also been playing a little bit of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. That came out Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday morning, roughly. I didn't get a chance to play a ton of it. I've put like maybe 2 hours into it. So we'll talk that as well. But let's kick things off talking about Expedition 33 reviews. Reviews for that game are up now over at Open Critic. And the good news is that they're good reviews. I think that's what I would mainly say is the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 reviews looking good, looking solid. Right now, the game is sitting at a 91 average with 96% of critics recommending the game. And that is out of a grand total of 86 reviews. So it's looking good. It's looking good from Clair Obscur. That is the new game from Sandfall Interactive that's coming out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S on April 24th. That is tomorrow for you and me, Russ. Also coming out on Game Pass. So that's where I'm looking forward to this game. That's where I'm going to be playing it. Of course, you can also get it for paid money if that is your thing. Here's what we got for reviews for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. 70 out of 100 from PC Gamer, saying that Clair Obscur is a gorgeously realized world let down by its emphasis on combat and marred by a few fatal stumbles. That's probably one of the most negative reviews I've seen of Expedition 33 so far. IGN giving it a 9 out of 10, saying, wearing its inspirations on its sleeves, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 paints itself into the pantheon of great RPGs with a brilliant combat system and a gripping, harrowing story. Eurogamer 4 out of 5, saying outstanding artwork and glorious combat bring Clair Obscur Expedition 33's bold, painterly world to life. Game Rant 10 out of 10. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a rare RPG that feels mechanically bold and emotionally grounded and unforgettable long after the credits roll. Games Radar Plus, a 4.5 out of 5, saying lengthy battles are rewarding, never descending into a mindless grind fest. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 got a 9 out of 10 over at GameSpot.com. Videogames.com. Actually, where does videogames.com go to? I'll find out in a moment. I used to go to GameSpot. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a phenomenal RPG telling a heartbreaking tale while incorporating thrilling action into its tactical, turn-based combat. A lot of other positive reviews out there as well for Expedition 33. The Gamer giving it a 5 out of 5. Sandfall Interactive's debut is a triumph. Everything about Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is either a fresh reboot to soothe the traditionalist soul or an exciting, bold leap into new territory, and the result is a piece of art that pulled me in and refused to let go. So if you don't know, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is an RPG. It is inspired by JRPGs of yore, and it's made by the French folks over at Sandfall Interactive. I'm really looking forward to it. It is looking good. I'm very excited to play it. I'm glad it's coming out on Thursday. Tomorrow I have plenty of time to play it both Thursday and also Friday. So I don't have anything to say about it. I haven't had a chance to play it. It's not here yet. Dave's not here, man. But when it is here, I will play it and I'll tell you all about it. Here's a game that is out, and I can tell you something about it. It is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. It is out now on Xbox, PC, PS5, and Game Pass. It is a remaster. of the game has been fully rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5. It features a total graphical revamp along with some changes to the audio and gameplay. Now, I'm going to cover this. I'll talk about it. I just want to say, first and foremost, I did not play a lot of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion back in the day, so I'm not an expert. I couldn't tell you all of the changes necessarily to this to this remaster. So just keep all that in mind. This is the description given. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered modernizes the 2006 Game of the Year with all new stunning visuals and refined gameplay. Every single asset in the game has been recreated from scratch. The game will also feature completely reanimated lip syncing based on the game's original performance capture data. It'll also include all previously available DLC and expansions. You can also get a deluxe edition of the game that will include extra weapons and horse armor. You get a horse in the game and you can put armor on your horse. This is also the same people that are working on the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Before we cover the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion and what I've played so far, I would like to try to cover what is the difference between a remaster of a game and a remake of a game. Now, there is a series of games that I'm not going to talk about in this conversation. The reason why I'm not going to talk about it is because I have lost the plot as to where these games stopped being remasters and started being remakes. So I'm going to avoid it entirely. So hear me out here. I'm not going to talk about, and if you're wondering what's that game series, I'm not going to talk about The Last of Us because I've lost the plot on Last of Us games, whether they're remakes or remasters at this point. But here we go. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is a remaster. When we think about games that are remakes versus games that are remasters, there's a couple of things that significantly change along the way. Remastered games can have completely redone art and graphics. They can be made in different engines than the original game, and they can feature updated and improved gameplay. But one of the things that significantly changes once you switch over from a remaster to a remake is the changes that you see to the gameplay and how gameplay is kind of presented and represented in the game. Let me give you an example. So if the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is a remaster, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a remake. Another example of a remake versus a remaster is Resident Evil 2 and 3 are remakes, and Resident Evil 4 is a remaster. The big difference being is that the shooting, the movement in Resident Evil 2 and 3 is completely unlike anything in the original Resident Evil 2 and 3. It is the third person, over the shoulder, Uncharted, Gears of War style shooting that was not in the original Resident Evil games. The way the map system works in terms of pointing out to you which key you have for which door, which room you fully explored, which you haven't. All of that is completely remade. Hence why it's a remake. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is a remake of those games. It is incorporating elements of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD remaster, which updated some of the gameplay. But the gameplay is, and the way it's presented is completely remade in the context of the ability to play through both games, both career modes. The way that multiplayer works with the drop in, drop out, we're going to skate a couple challenges on one mission or one level, go to another. That is a remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. It is bundled into a single game, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 plus 2 is actually a remake of those games. So just to kind of clarify again, you can have elements of a game that are completely redone, such as the art style or such as the engine that is running it, as in the case of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And you can even update some of the gameplay. But Dead Space is a remaster of an old game. Resident Evil 4 is a remaster of an old game. Resident Evil 2 and 3 are remakes of old games. And again, it really just comes down to how significant are the changes to the gameplay, but also how is that gameplay presented, represented, and if there are any other changes that kind of go into it. Some people will use remastered and remake interchangeably. I'm not here to argue semantics. I guess you could say I am, but I'm really not trying to argue semantics here. I'm trying to use clearly defined words in appropriate ways. And some people will use the words remaster and remakes interchangeably. Hell, I have probably used the words remakes and remastered interchangeably. I get it. But the Elder Scrolls 4 is a damn good, a damn effective remaster. But at the core of what that game is, like, let me try one more time to simplify this even more. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is a better version of it. Basically, actually, I'll try this one more time. If Oblivion was a better game than it was when it came out, if Oblivion could be any better of a game within the technical limitations, the scope of the project, if Oblivion originally could be any better of a game at launch, it would be something akin to what we are saying in this remaster. That's how I would describe it. And the reason I say all of this is because this game feels like a good playing game from 2006. I think we've come a long way in terms of first-person combat and melee combat and stuff like that. Hell, I was just playing Avowed earlier this year, a game that does a lot to modernize the first-person swinging of swords and casting of spells and bow and arrow and all that stuff. Right? So, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, in terms of a remaster, feels like a better version of that 2006 game. But there are many, many aspects of the game that, from a dated design philosophy, I'm not even saying bad, but just a dated design philosophy, are not up to the par of a 2025 game. Compare that with something like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Yes, they are working within the framework of kind of what those games originally were. They are not completely retelling a story like something like Final Fantasy VII, but everything about Resident Evil 2 and 3 are modernized for the time that they came out in. Oblivion Remastered is not. That is how I would describe it. I think if you want to argue, that's totally fine. If you want to say Oblivion Remastered is better than being an amazing game from 2006 in the context of everything, that's fine. But like, I was sitting there playing it and I was like, if I wanted to really play an Elder Scrolls game and I didn't necessarily care about the graphics, perhaps I might be able to find a more modern Elder Scrolls game like Skyrim, for example, or take games that take inspiration from Skyrim and Oblivion, like Avowed, and I might have more fun fun with it from a gameplay perspective. That being said, if you are looking for the big, ambitious, open world RPG in the style of, other Bethesda games and other grand open world games, I mean, Oblivion is kind of the granddaddy of them all in the modern context of where we are today, right? You think about this large open world, you think about this kind of open character class system where you can, you're upgrading your abilities as you use them. You can switch from being a sword swinging, heavy, to an archer, to a magician whenever you want, or you can even mix and match a lot of that stuff, right? So for me, I made the mistake of thinking that I could play this game with dual wielding daggers. I thought I would just be a very fast and quick run up and stab a guy. Maybe because I have Assassin's Creed on the brain, but run up and stab a guy with dual daggers, sort of combat character. I forgot that that's not in Oblivion, that's in Skyrim. But it's very open in how there's no like, yeah, you're kind of making a character class and you're going to have some abilities that are going to be stronger than others based on the character that you make and some of the initial choices that you make. But if you decide 20 hours in that you would rather be shooting a bow and arrow versus being a magician, you can totally do that, or incorporate some elements of your magic casting into your sword swinging character, and vice versa. Very, very flexible in that way. So that's always fresh and exciting to feel like you're not fully committing one way or another to a particular way of playing a character. I just unfortunately forgot that like the way I wanted to play that game literally is not possible, because every time you have a weapon in one hand, you can cast with your other hand, or you're equipping a shield. I can't have like two swords or two daggers in my instance. It's a great looking game, man. Like they did a tremendous job remastering the graphics of the world. You can see maybe the design, the 2006 design and seams in terms of the scope of the world, the size of the world, the way things are spaced out and physically exist within the world. I would also say the animations, if they've been updated, they are not to a 2025 standard. I have seen like wolves and dogs and other like four-legged animals kind of like crab walk, through large parts of the environment, fighting me. Like I'll be fighting a pack of wolves on like a hill somewhere, and then I'll just turn around and I'll just see like one of them kind of scooching their way like sideways towards me, and stuff like that. Am I going to knock the game for this? Absolutely not. I've played so much Fallout, New Vegas and 3 and 4 and 76. Like I'm not going to knock this game for having funky animations in some aspects. But they're there. And I would actually say like, if this game was remade, maybe there'd be less likely for something like that to occur, because there is still parts of the original Oblivion game running underneath this game, which means that like if you're a fan of Oblivion, like this is probably exactly what you wanted. Something that is a updated take on the original game, but still incredibly faithful to what you already know and love, versus somebody like me coming into this being like, oh, you know what? I actually wish they maybe did a little bit more with this, or I wish I had more emotional attachment to the original Oblivion, whatever you want to call it. I wish I had more nostalgia for Oblivion. I might be able to better appreciate it. But instead I look at it, I'm like, this is a nice looking game that plays like a slightly better version of the 2006 game that I didn't spend a lot of time with. So overall, like, I don't hate it. I don't mind it. I got no beef with Elder Scrolls 4 Remastered. I'm cool with it. I just after spending about even 2 hours with the game, I was like, maybe I'll go back and remake a character with a better understanding of what my limitations are surrounding the combat. Or I might just say, you know what? Now is the best time to try Skyrim, having a better understanding of where those Elder Scrolls games are now and kind of where they've come from. But it's out now. PC, PS5, Xbox. It's also out on Game Pass. I was playing it on Game Pass. It is not a full price game. People are out there complaining about the price of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. If I go to PlayStation's website, I just want to see what the price of this game is. I am on the American site. I don't want that. I want the Canadian site. Shit. There you go. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is $67. You can also get the the deluxe edition, which we talked about, which is $80. Here's the thing. You can also buy the deluxe edition upgrade later if you want to. Here's the thing, like, there is a lot of game in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Even the base game had a lot of content. This includes all of the paid DLC and expansions that they added to the game later. So if you're looking to check this out and you have nostalgia for it, or you've already played a lot of Skyrim or Fallout or whatever, and you want to see kind of like where a lot of this stuff came from originally, this is a game definitely worth checking out. It's just maybe not necessarily for me. It also comes with the Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine story expansions. Like I said, there's a lot of game to Oblivion. $67 is not the worst price for what they're giving you. And I would say that Game Pass is a hell of a price to pay as well. Respawn has now officially revealed the gritty Clone Wars story that takes place in Star Wars Zero Company. This is going to take place during some amount of the prequel saga. Electronic Arts has officially unveiled Star Wars Zero Company. It is a single-player turn-based tactics game developed by BitReactor in collaboration with Respawn Entertainment. It's coming out in 2026, and it's going to tell a gritty, unauthentic story set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. Players take on the role of Hawks, a former Republic officer who commands an elite squad of operatives from across the galaxy who must set aside their differences to take on an emerging threat that will consume the galaxy if left unchecked. Quote, in Star Wars Zero Company, players will embark on a campaign of tactical operations and investigations across the galaxy. Between missions, they will develop a base of operations and gather intelligence through a network of informants to stay one step ahead of Zero Company's adversaries. Players will have the freedom to create and customize their own squad of recruited operators while getting to know a cast of newly authored Star Wars characters. According to EA, Hawks' appearance and combat class can be fully customized, while recruited operatives can be personalized from a range of original Star Wars character classes and species. Tailor squad mates' appearances, loadouts, and abilities across a wide variety of character archetypes, including clone troopers, astromechs, and even a Jedi. While in the field, members of Zero Company will forge bonds between them to unlock powerful combat synergies that can turn the tide of battle. CEO and creative director of BitReactor said, our vision for Star Wars Zero Company is grounded in gameplay design pillars that weave in the Star Wars galaxy while engaging in turn-based tactics gameplay. It's our aim to deliver with an original Star Wars story from the Clone Wars era that has meaningful outcomes from player choices and deep turn-based tactical combat with an approachable and cinematic presentation. All of this is to say, if you played XCOM 2 or XCOM Enemy Unknown, or to some extent Marvel's Midnight Suns game, they're doing one of these types of games, and I think that is awesome. I'm very, very excited to check this game out and see how it does. I would love the idea of a Star Wars XCOM game. In fact, I was just playing a little bit of XCOM not that long ago. So I would be very excited to see. I started up another game of XCOM Enemy Unknown, and I was playing that because I'm looking forward to this game. And like I said, I think that two things. For those that are curious, turn-based tactics is different than like turn-based RPGs. This is not like a South Park Stick of Truth or a Persona or a Clair Obscur. This is you moving characters on a grid in a battlefield as part of the combat, and then taking turns as part of the combat as well for using abilities and weapons and stuff like that. So part one of the turn is you move your character somewhere, and then part two of that turn is you actually taking offense or reacting to their attacks or whatever, right? Compared to something like Clair Obscur or South Park, where you are static in the environment, but just taking turns attacking and defending back and forth. Xbox hints that there is going to be an Indiana Jones sequel. I think it is safe to say that they will probably make an Indiana Jones sequel because that Indiana Jones game did quite well for them, and it is a fabulous game. Phil Spencer says that Microsoft is really happy with the Great Circle's performance. We think there's life in that franchise. And I mean, I think the other thing is with them attaching Indiana Jones's performance to Troy Baker, who played Joel in The Last of Us. He also played Nathan Drake's brother in Uncharted. You could probably get a lot out of him for years to come as Indiana Jones, both from a voice acting perspective, but also from a motion capturing standpoint. So Machine Games probably better off making Indiana Jones games as long as that's what they kind of want to do, compared to something like Wolfenstein. Like I love Wolfenstein, don't get me wrong, but that series really starts to peter out after the what's the second game called? The New Colossus. Like Youngblood is not a great game. Like Youngblood technically is a sequel, and if you want to know where the story goes and all that stuff, like that's cool. Go play Youngblood, but if you play the New Blood, the Old Order, the whatever the fuck the other, there's like 3 that you should play, and then you can stop, and that's fine. And I think Machine Games is aware that, like, say what you will about setting up story in story potential in future Wolfenstein games. Indiana Jones is where it's at. Phil Spencer was asked by Variety whether the company has larger plans for Indy. He said, "I will say we're really happy with Indy and the players and the reception. We do think there's life in that franchise, and I'm just going to leave it at that. We're launching on PlayStation here pretty soon. I think that'll be a cool moment." He continued, "I was really inspired by Machine Games taking someone else's IP and doing something so unique. I'm inspired about what that team can do next. Certain people were kind of pushing them on the first person versus third person. I think once you play it, you realize you are indie." And look, if you absolutely hate first-person games, if you absolutely hate first-person shooters and, exploration in first person and all of that stuff, yeah, you'll hate Indiana Jones. But if you go into it with an appreciation for first-person shooters or an open mind or a interest in what a proper, authentic Indiana Jones game can be, you will find that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a great game that comes together really, really well. And I couldn't, like, it's one of those things where, like, if I really think about what that game is trying to be and how it presents the world and the gameplay, I just can't see it being anything other than a first person game. Like at the end of it, like, I don't think it would work half as well if it was or maybe not half as well, but I don't think it would work nearly as well if it wasn't a first person game. If you can't get enough Indiana Jones, Machine Games is currently working on a story DLC expansion for the game called The Order of the Giants, which will launch sometime later this year. Sometime, I'm assuming, after the PS5 version of the game comes out. You can get the deluxe edition, which includes it, or you can buy that stuff separately. We're going to keep talking about Game Pass for just a moment. Rebellion CEO hails Xbox Game Pass as a huge success for their indie game Atomfall. Rebellion's survival action game has reached more than 2 million players, which it partially attributes to Game Pass. Now, I'll admit that I played a little bit of Atomfall on Game Pass, and it was incredibly unappealing, but that didn't stop other people from enjoying it. And I am more than happy to see people play a game that I don't like, that I don't care for, that I'm not interested in, right? Like, as much as I may poo-poo something like Rebellion's Atomfall, or I may poo-poo the existence of Marathon, if people come away liking these games, who the fuck am I to say, oh, you shouldn't play that game's bad, or whatever? Like, I don't care. There are probably way worse games out there in the video game sphere that if I knew about, played, and was familiar with, I would be more likely to say, hey, actually, this is a piece of shit. Don't waste your time. If you enjoy Atomfall, hey, more power to you. And it seems like Rebellion are pretty happy with it. It's always nice to see a studio, especially the size and scope of Rebellion, put out a game that attracts an audience, is healthy, and all that stuff. So, hey, it's been a huge success for them. And I say, more power to them. This might end up being a little bit of a shorter podcast today as a result of things, but, hey, sometimes it's a short week, sometimes it's a long week. I wanted to talk about this. We kind of covered some of this to an extent, not like this specific news story, but like the larger issue with subscriptions and stuff like that. I feel like we kind of covered a little bit of that last week, but I might repeat myself. We'll see. This is coming from Video Games Chronicles. As always, shout out to Video Games Chronicles. PlayStation Plus is increasing the price in Canada again. The service is going to be increasing in price June 24th. I'm going to say this now before I get too ahead of myself. These prices are fucked. These prices are absolutely fucked. These prices are disgusting. I hate everything about this. This is bullshit. And I'm going to kind of cover more about why this is bullshit in a moment, because I'm going to even tell you what the original price for a lot of this shit was. And then we'll go from there. So, PlayStation Plus, unlike Game Pass, PlayStation Plus does the 12-month subscription if you want to. So what I have here is the 12-month subscription for Plus, Essential, Extra, and Premium. Here we go. PlayStation Plus Essential currently costs $95. It is going up to $110. That is an increase of $15. 12 months of PlayStation Plus Extra will increase from $155 to $190. That is an increase of $35. PlayStation Plus Premium will increase from $190 to $225. That is an increase of $35. Now, according to Sony's email, the price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high quality games and benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. They are going to continue to give away games like Crime Boss Rockay City and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and other piece of shit video games they couldn't sell even if they tried. That's not to say that all PlayStation Plus games are bad. You know, people get plenty of value watching their PlayStation Plus monthly game catalog grow, or seeing that a game is on the extra tier, or, oh, this retro game is now on premium, whatever. Like, I get it. But this is the second time Canadian players have seen their PlayStation Plus price increase following a hike in 2023. Before that, Essentials cost $70 a year. Extras cost $115 a year, and Premium cost $140 a year. Now, for further context, this second price increase now means that since the 3-tier system originally launched in Canada, Essentials has risen by a total of $40 per year Extra has risen by $75 per year, and Premium has risen by $85 per year. Tell me if you feel like you've gotten that worth from your PlayStation Plus subscription service. If you have, fantastic. Tell me all about it. I would love to know. What's your favorite thing? What's the best game you've played? What's a game that you thought about buying but didn't buy, and then you found out it was on PlayStation Plus and you got it for free? Like, I would love to know. I don't have PlayStation Plus. I have Game Pass. I pay monthly. It's a totally different ball game. We know about that. I'm not here to compare apples to oranges. I can tell you a couple of things. I can tell you that I have a friend of mine who has a PlayStation 5 and pays $0 for PlayStation Plus because he cannot be bothered to have the service. Now, this friend of mine instead pays for Game Pass Ultimate. He pays for the highest tier of Game Pass Ultimate, which in Canada dollars is... How much is Game Pass Ultimate in Canada? Game Pass Ultimate in Canada is $23 a month. That gets him all of the Xbox games day one on both PC and Xbox if he wanted to. It also gets him access to all of those EA games on both Game Pass console and PC. It also allows him to stream cloud games to handheld devices, TVs, etc., which he gets the most value out of that. He's currently playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. He's a very happy man with that from everything I know. But, you know, the value for him is also being able to play the games from the cloud through the streaming service. So for him, he is not going to... So he's somebody who could pay for PlayStation Plus, but chooses not to. Doesn't see the value in it. Maybe doesn't play the console enough. Couldn't give less of a shit. I'm not too sure. He's not here to talk about it. I'm just telling you what I know. I got another family member who has a PlayStation 5. It's their only console. They play a lot of PlayStation games. They have gone from having Premium to now having Essential as the years have gone on because of how little value is really being provided to them, how messy the presentation of PlayStation Plus is in terms of like, is this a free monthly game or is this part of the Essential tier? Is this part of the Premium tier? I don't actually know what I keep as part of my subscription and what goes away as part of the subscription. And they've also just cut the cost down from Premium to Essential as the price has gone up as well. Like, he just locked in for the 12-month Essential. And it's and even he's not happy about the idea of having to pay an additional $15 this time next year for his PlayStation Plus Essential. So on one hand, I have people in my life who just don't see the value in PlayStation Plus entirely. And I have people in my life who see the value in PlayStation Plus, but realize that it is maybe not nearly as essential, be all, end all, as they may like. I think they're currently playing through RoboCop, which they got for free as part of PlayStation Plus. Like, you know, say what you will about RoboCop, but it is free on PlayStation Plus. But also, how much is RoboCop on PlayStation? If I were to go and look, like, how much is... I can't type to save my life. Okay, well, currently RoboCop is $80. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. I'm looking at the Canadian pricing for RoboCop Rogue City on PlayStation's website. RoboCop is $80. It's also free if you have PlayStation Plus. Or you can get the Alex Murphy edition of RoboCop, which includes the game, a new shotgun, a new costume for RoboCop, a new skin for the Auto 9 pistol, and a digital art book. And that is $14 right now. That's on sale for $14. That sale ends at midnight tonight as of the time of this recording. Look, I'm not here to tell you to do math. You do math however you want to, but in a scenario where they're giving away a free game that is like $15 currently, it does make me wonder what is the value of PlayStation Plus, especially in a world where you still got to pay full price to get new games day one and whatnot, right? Like, what are the monthly games currently for April? Why won't it just show me the goddamn monthly games? I hate this website. There's a button that says what's new on PlayStation Plus. It's RoboCop Rogue City, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a multiplayer only game that I can't imagine a lot of people are playing, and Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hackers Memories. If you have the game catalog as part of the extra and premium tier, you get access to Hogwarts Legacy, Blueprints, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, EA Sports PGA Tour, Battlefield 1, and Plate Up. I just want the game catalog. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like the game catalog doesn't have games. Like, the game catalog's got games, man. As of recently, they've also added Payday 2, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Plucky Squire, Atlas, Fallen, Reign of Sand, MotoGP, Top Spin, Fallout 4, Dave the Diver, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. Like, they've added games, but it still lacks the certain je ne sais quoi of something being available day one on Game Pass, for example. Anyways, I'm just neither here nor there. The prices are fucked. Everything's expensive. I hate this, and I hope that it's much longer than a year from now when I'm reporting on another PlayStation Plus increase. Because at some point, like, the value is just lost on people. Like, they are subscriptioned out to death from PlayStation, from Xbox, from Nintendo. They're just, those, especially those three. So, hey, I wish everybody the best of luck in affording this, and I hope they enjoy and they get value out of it, like, regardless of the price. If it's worth it, it'll work. If it's not, you know what to do. So if you are a fan or familiar with the Yakuza games, you might be familiar with Outrun, the Sega classic arcade game Outrun, released in 1986, designed by Yu Suzuki, who did Space Harrier, Hang On, Afterburner, Virtual Racing, Virtua Fighter, and Shenmue. Anyways, an Outrun movie is currently being made, or is in the process of being made, is about to be made, with Michael Bay directing it, and everyone's favorite Sydney Sweeney as a producer on the game. It's supposedly going to be a live-action movie based on Sega's Outrun. Initially reported by Deadline, now confirmed by Sega. The movie is in early stages at Universal, with Bay set to direct and produce it. Sweeney will also be a producer on the film, at the moment not planned to star in the film. The script will be written by Jason Rothwell, who previously wrote scripts for Mads Mikkelsen's movie Polar. The film will be produced by Toru Nakahara, who worked on the 3 Sonic movies, the Knuckles series, and the upcoming Golden Axe animated show, while Sega president and COO Shuji Utsumi will also oversee the project. This is what they kind of say. This is kind of how they describe the game. Making use of Sega's Superscalar sprite scaling technology, Outrun became a regular fixture in arcades around the world, with the deluxe version even boosting a sit-down cabinet with motion simulation. The game was originally a stand-up arcade racing cabinet, so you had the pedals on the floor, but you stood to drive the game, but they eventually did a sit-down version as well. And then they also did a deluxe edition, which had motion and stuff like that. The game was popular enough to spawn sequels and spin-offs, including Turbo Outrun, Battle Outrun, and Outrunners, and Outrun 2019. Outrunners. I wonder if this is where the Outrunners from AEW got their name. Makes you think. But the first true sequel came in 2003 when Sega released a polygonal arcade game called Outrun 2, along with an Xbox port following the year later. This was then followed by 2006 with a game called Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, which was released by Sumo Digital on Xbox, PS2, PSP, and PC. The last game was called Outrun Online Arcade, which was a 2009 port of Outrun 2, which came out on Xbox 360 and PS3. We have not seen a new Outrun game yet. However, if you have played Yakuza 0 or Yakuza 6, Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, Yakuza 0, Yakuza 6, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, or the current gen remaster of Judgment, Outrun is a playable game in those arcades. So, here's the thing. Michael Bay can make a movie. Michael Bay can make a hell of a movie. I don't care what anybody says, man. Bad Boys is so fucking good. The Rock, an incredible movie. I don't care what anybody says. Man, I don't care about those damn Transformers movies or anything. Michael Bay can make a fucking movie. Has he made a movie in a while? I don't know, because I didn't see Ambulance. That being said, with Jake Gyllenhaal. That being said, the premise of Outrun is so thin that it would be very easy to adapt a movie about it. Very, very easy to do so. You get Michael Bay, you get a car, you get explosions, you get somebody driving or racing or doing both at the same time. Maybe you end up getting Sydney Sweeney in there, and it'd be like, hey, look at this, this pretty blonde lady. She's the main character, or she's a supporting cast member, or she's whatever. Maybe she's the bad guy. I don't know. Like, this is a very easy to adapt movie. Does it have the star appeal of something like Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario? Absolutely not. But if people say, oh man, have you seen the trailer for Outrun? It's the new Michael Bay movie. That might just be enough for people. And I think that's what Sega's kind of banking on, if I'm being honest. We got some more news. We're still going. Devolver Digital, this one is fascinating to me. Devolver Digital has revealed which of its IPs and platform have made the most money as it shares its future strategy. This is this is so wild. I don't see publishers talking about this at all. But this is so crazy. Okay. So I'm looking at a chart here. I'll switch to the video feed for those watching. I'm looking at a chart. And basically what Devolver Digital, they are primarily an indie publisher. They're primarily an indie publisher, putting out a variety of games. Some games they own the IP of. Some games they own the game. Some games they don't. But this is so fascinating to me. So here's what we have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 of their franchises. I have the number of games released. I have the number of announced games in their pipeline. I have, did the game have paid DLC or not? I have lifetime revenue of the game. And I have if they own the intellectual property or not. Really fascinating. Really, really interesting. So what we'll do is we're going to look at the franchises. and we're just going to run through each franchise one by one. Okay. So of the top 10 franchises that Devolver is referencing, those 10 franchises have produced 37 games. Of those franchises, there are currently 6 games that have been announced that are in development across those 10 franchises. Total, these 10 franchises have made about $430 million. Let's go over it. Gorn has a game in development. Gorn only has one game been released. It has one game in development with no paid DLC. It's made about $20 million, and it is a third-party game, so they don't own the rights to Gorn. Reigns, there are 5 games in the Reigns series with no paid DLC, probably because they put out 5 games in the Reigns series. They've made about $20 million, and they own the rights to Reigns. Talos Principle, there are 2 games that have been released, 1 game in development. They have released paid DLC for the Talos Principle games. The Talos Principle games in total have made about $20 million, and they own the rights to the Talos Principle. Hotline Miami, there have been 2 Hotline Miami games, no game in development, no paid DLC. The Hotline Miami games have made about $30 million, and they don't own the rights to Hotline Miami. Shadow Warrior, I'm just going to say this right now. I fucking love Shadow Warrior 2. Shadow Warrior 2 is so good. As like this fun, weird, over-the-top mix of like first-person shooter and like loot RPG light. Shadow Warrior 2 just strikes this fascinating balance of like loot shooter sort of thing with RPG mechanics. Shadow Warrior 2 is a phenomenal game. Love Shadow Warrior. They've made 3 of them. I think Shadow Warrior 1's okay. I think Shadow Warrior 3 is not as okay. Unfortunately, there are no more Shadow Warrior games currently in development. They've never done paid DLC for the Shadow Warrior games. They've made about $35 million, and it is a first-party game that they own the rights to. Enter and Exit the Gungeon. There are 2 games in that series, Enter the Gungeon and Exit the Gungeon. They have already announced a 3rd Gungeon game in development. There have been no paid DLC for the game. It has made $40 million for Devolver, and it is a first-party game that they own the rights to. Serious Sam. There have been 11 games in the Serious Sam franchise. No current Serious Sam games are in development. They've put out paid DLC for Serious Sam, and it has made them $45 million, and it is a first-party game. Stronghold 2 has 9 games released total to date, 2 announced games in development. They have done paid DLC for Stronghold 2. It has made them about $50 million, and it is a first-party game that they own the rights to. Astroneer, there has been 1 Astroneer game. They just announced a new Astroneer game not that long ago as part of the Switch 2 reveal. There is paid DLC for Astroneer. It has made them about $80 million lifetime revenue, and it is a first-party game that they own the rights to. But this is what's so crazy to me is I didn't think this game was that big of a hit. I knew it was a hit. I knew this game was big. I didn't know how big it was. Cult of the Lamb. There's only been 1 game released. There is no announced games in development. They have done paid DLC for Cult of the Lamb. It has made them $90 million in lifetime revenue, but they do not own the franchise Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb, if you don't know what Cult of the Lamb is, I'm going to go to my computer. I'm going to type it in. Cult of the Lamb is a indie game where you are creating and managing your own cult. It is part action game, part cult crafting management simulator. A fascinating game I've never had the chance to play. People love it. They love the art style. They love the look of Cult of the Lamb. It's a really neat looking game that I never got a chance to play. It's like $30 if you're curious. And that is their biggest game to date, which is really, really cool. Really cool to see. Now, according to Devolver, it has some key strategic focuses going forward. They want to release more paid DLC, following successful DLC releases for games like Cult of the Lamb and Astroneer. They want more definitive editions of games expected in future years. They also have a number of sequels being worked on across popular IPs, both first party that they own and third party. They want a reduced average investment on third party games. They want to focus on smaller development budgets with high success potential and scope for future paid DLC. They have the decision to right size 3 subsidiaries, giving them a tighter focus, reducing affected team sizes by approximately 50%. So there might, in order to get some more money, they might just cut teams if they have to. They want investments into first-party development to make time and cost more efficient. And they were working with Nintendo to develop Switch 2 games because the original success is its most successful console for unit sales. Really crazy, really, really fascinating to think about. Upcoming games from, you might be thinking, okay, well, what does Devolver have in store? They are working on Baby Steps. That is the adult man. That's the game where you were it's an open world game where you were an adult man who walks like a baby. Very, very, very crazy. They're working on Enter the Gungeon 2. They're working on Skate Story. They're working on Tenjutsu. Yeah, I think I pronounced that right. They're working on Force Strike, Monster Train 2, and Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions. Anyways, you don't get a lot of developers and publishers kind of being this open and honest about where they're at financially, what the games have done financially. I just thought it was really cool to see. I don't like the idea of boiling down games just to numbers. I feel like I do a decent job trying to split that difference, but like this tells a really fascinating story of like where, a lot of Devolver's, priorities probably lie, right? It's probably in getting more Astroneer games out the door because they're first party. Serious Sam, Gungeon, maybe another Shadow Warrior game. I would love if they did like an update or a remake or a remaster or whatever of Shadow Warrior 2 specifically, because I love that game so much, but we shall see. And the final news story. Ghost of Yotei, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, finally has a release date. And I think this release date is so interesting because it probably isn't too far away from whenever the Grand Theft Auto 6 release date is. Still don't have a release date for Grand Theft Auto. It could come out tomorrow for all I know. But Ghost of Yotei is coming out to PS5 exclusively October 2nd of this year. Sucker Punch also had a new trailer for the game to go alongside the release date. They showed off the collector's edition, the deluxe edition, and all of that jazz. They didn't talk about story specifics, but the story is that the game takes place in 1603. That is more than 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. Our story is set in the land surrounding Mount Yotei, a towering peak in the heart of Izo, an area of Japan known as Hokkaido in present day. Very, very curious to see how this game shapes up. Very curious to see how people feel about it in a world where Assassin's Creed Shadows has come and gone. I know that they're working on expansions and updates for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I know that they're probably not going to be that similar of a game when all is said and done. Especially if Ghost of Yote leans more into a samurai-esque game, whereas Assassin's Creed Shadows, at majority of the time, leaned into more of a ninja-style gameplay. Very curious about that. You might be asking yourself, GnittWitt, you played some Oblivion Remastered. You're walking away from that game feeling like it seems okay, but maybe not quite for you. What else do you have going on? I've stopped playing Assassin's Creed Shadows entirely. I have wrapped up that main story to the best of my ability. I saw credits on that game. My subscription is over, so I would have to either go buy the game or re-up the subscription if I wanted to play it. Yeah, I walked away from that game feeling pretty positive, all things considered. Total time spent in Assassin's Creed Shadows, about 47 hours. I think I got like a little more than halfway done the game. And like I said, I like it. I'm positive on the game with some shortcomings, but really not a lot of significant complaints from me. I ended up getting into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I was just like, you know what? Why not? I'm not too sure what games I really want to commit to right now, and kind of feeling like if I didn't love Oblivion, maybe I could play something else. You know, obviously that's not going to happen if I end up getting around to playing Expedition 33, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and really connecting with that game. Obviously, if that game comes out tomorrow and I love it, that's probably going to be the game I play for some time. But you know, you probably have those times where you finish up a game and you kind of just bounce around from game to game, playing a little bit of this, playing a little bit of that, looking at your calendar, seeing what games are coming out. Maybe you're looking at something like PlayStation Plus and being like, yeah, I could start this game, or I could play this game that just came out on PlayStation Plus, or I could, check out something else here and there. I'm very much in a bouncing around from game to game state at the moment. I was, like I said, I was messing around a little bit with freaking XCOM Enemy Unknown, and I played a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West at one point in time. Like, I was just like, oh, maybe I should like reload Horizon Forbidden West and like replay that game because I really enjoyed it despite not liking the story in that game that much. Like, bouncing around from here to here. I know that Forza Horizon has a big update coming out soon. I wonder when that is. When's the next Forza Horizon update? That's out on the 25th. So the Horizon Realms update, that's coming out on the 25th. Very interested to see how that is. I'll play that this time next week. I'll have thoughts on, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I'll play some more Horizon, see how that is. Do I need to play a ton of it? I don't know, maybe not, but that's coming out in time with the release of the PS5 version of the game. So that's out same time. Very curious to check that out. But like I said, I'm just, again, kind of bouncing around here to here, playing some games, messing around, seeing how I like them. Forza Horizon 5 is coming out on the 29th, but you can get early access to the game if you want to. So you can start playing it on the 25th, or you can wait till the 29th. It's up to you. They talked about PlayStation 5 graphics modes for the game. Forza Horizon 5 will feature performance mode at 60 frames per second and quality mode at 30 frames per second. On the PS5 Pro, the performance mode will receive increased visual fidelity, while quality mode will also add ray-traced car reflections to races and free roam, if that is your thing. I haven't seen what Forza Horizon 5 looks like on a PS5, but if I were you, I would play it on performance mode so you get those high frames per second. It's a fast-moving racing game. You want the frames. Come on, you want the frames. I'm going to check the news, see if there's anything else that I am missing that we haven't talked about. No, that kind of seems like it. So this is what I got going on this week. I'm gonna, play Clair Obscur Expedition 33 tomorrow. I'll mess around a little bit with that Forza Horizon 5 update, and maybe I'll come back with news of other older games that I've been playing. I like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so far anyways. I really like the character Cassandra. They let you pick two characters. They're like the grandchildren or great-grandchildren of Leonidas. I forget how the story setup exactly goes. But you can pick between one of his two like grandchildren or great-grandchildren. I picked Cassandra. She's a really fun character. Great voice acting performance from here. A really fun, like mercenary, swashbuckling, lovable scamp type character from Cassandra. But I'm very, very early in the game. My understanding is there's a lot of boat stuff, which makes sense. Greek, the islands of Greece. There are a lot of islands, so there's going to be a lot of boating between all of them, which got me thinking, if I really get into the boat stuff in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, does this mean that I need to go back and play Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag because of all the pirate stuff? I don't know. We'll find out. But, I might pick away at Assassin's Creed. I might pick away a little bit at Horizon Forbidden West. Gorgeous looking game. But as like I said, I'm up in the air. A lot of stuff's up in the air right now. I do know that I want to play Clair Obscur Expedition 33 when that comes out tomorrow. Maybe I'll go back to South of Midnight, though I got to be honest, the longer I go without playing South of Midnight, despite how much I like it, the less and less desire I have to go back and play it. The thing that's really motivating me to go back and play South of Midnight is just knowing how short it is and knowing that I'm like maybe halfway, a little less than maybe maybe a third, sorry, not 2/3, maybe a third of the way to halfway done the game, probably a little less than halfway done. So we'll see. Hey, you know what? It's a wild open world out there. Go out and explore it. Go out and live it. And that's going to do it for Glitch Report. I've been GnittWitt. Find everything that I do over at my Linktree, linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt. We got more short form video content coming out on the YouTube channel, Instagram, and TikTok, and so much more. We'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Take it easy.